Hey guys, my name's Khadroth, and today we're going to be talking to you about the Learning with Manga Collab event that's going to be coming up here on NA. The event is very likely to start on the 19th. That's probably going to be Friday for us, because otherwise it's going to be at the latest probably on the 20th, since the devs have already come out and said that it is mid-April that you're going to be getting the event. So just go ahead and anticipate it to be Friday, basically right after our current Sea Monster Crisis event ends, and you'll be perfectly prepared in that regard. Now, just as a quick aside before we actually get into covering the event, I did want to point out that we are currently, if that's the case, going to be about 8 days ahead of where JP was. I'm not really sure why we need to be ahead, and the reason why I say this is because a lot of years we have to have a forward crunch because of the way NA handles its anniversary in the middle of the year, but that's not really too big of an issue this time around, since we know they're just going to pretty much flip-flop the events. And so as a result, they actually do have plenty of time, but they're still kind of running a little bit ahead, so it is an interesting prospect. The only reason that I'm going to point that out is because that means the 25 million downloads campaign is going to be coming to us potentially sooner. And even something like Trom proper, the actual 6.5 release, is probably going to be coming to us late May at this current point in time. So it really just depends on how they want to bracket things out. But again, it can be fluid if they want it to be. Still, let's go ahead and quickly just take a quick look at the 25 million downloads campaign. I'm going to probably do a more proper video on this later, but just give you a bit of a TLDR. You're going to get some login bonuses with some nice rewards. This is also going to be the first real, sort of carte blanche, 2 times super and great success chance that we've had basically in a long time. So definitely you guys are going to want to take advantage of this, because you're not going to get another one probably until, again, anniversary proper, where you get 3 times. So this is a decent opportunity to maybe get some CEs leveled, or potentially level up some of your units, especially if you've been sitting on things, or maybe you're trying to grail someone all the way up to 120. Either way, this is also going to have all the Ember Gathering and Hunting Grounds available, so it would be a decent time to grind. The problem with this is basically that this is all going to happen probably in the last actual week of the Learning with Manga event. You can see the event actually ended on the 18th, and sure enough, on JP it also ended on the 18th. So there's probably likely to be a little bit of overlap, so you're probably going to need to be done with the event at that time, and there's some considerations with regards to that I'm going to be having to point out as we get in. But still, that's going to be some of your benefits right there. Percival's also going to get his first interlude here, which is definitely pretty interesting. There should be a retweet campaign that's going to end up giving us some quartz out of that. And then we're also going to get our first SR ticket in a long time. So this is going to be something that I will probably have to make a full-blown video on, so stay tuned for that, and I will try to get that one out as soon as possible. But again, there's going to be a lot of options to choose from here. My advice is generally to just go for things that either can immediately help your account, or if you're someone that has maybe collected a lot of the units already, maybe to try to go for something that's rare or harder to obtain, like story locked units, like say Salter, for instance. She can be a really good option for you. So there's other options on here in that regard, so I'll just leave that to the proper video before I actually talk about it. There are some limited missions here, but as you can see, it's just about clearing the main quest, so it's pretty easy basically for you to get these done. And it's just going to be some free quartz and some free embers and some free mana prisms, as well as a singular rare prism down there at the end. Now, we did actually get the return of basically Jalter's outfit to the Da Vinci shop, and it actually ends up basically becoming free if you've cleared Shinjuku, so definitely something you want to take advantage of, particularly now with her recent upgrade on JP. She's a 50% charger, so she's still a really solid unit. And you can see there's also going to be some new items basically with regards to your servant's ability to have second storage, if you will, and CE second storage basically. So again, if you just need more storage slots, not your actual inventory, but the second storage inventory, you can buy more with your mana prisms. These can be a really good thing to purchase. I actually do recommend purchasing your servants more than anything, because that's where, if you want to store more embers, they'll go. So definitely try to get those purchased before the CE ones, but the CE ones can be useful as well. This is also going to be where we get blue apples. If you guys are confused on this, I highly recommend going and checking out my video on AP Efficiency Explained. I basically go through a lot of this stuff, but basically bronze saplings and blue apples are going to be a way to bank your AP. This is really useful to people that maybe let their AP rot in the mornings when they go into work, or maybe they are busy with school or something like that. This is a way of being able to take the AP, even though you don't really have a way of spending it, and turning it into a blue apple. You're literally condensing it, kind of like condensed resin in Genshin Impact, if you will. So there's another example for you. But in this case, blue apples are not capped in any way, shape, or form. You are only limited by the number of saplings you have, and basically the number of saplings in that regard is determined by the amount of main story that you've done. They are given out for that, and basically at this point, if you have everything done, you're going to get hundreds of these things. So I do recommend being a little bit more frugal with them rather than wasteful, and there's a couple reasons why, and the basic premise behind it is that you always want to make sure you're doing at least 3 runs every single day. That way you're getting your dailies done. Dailies in FGO don't require you to do any specific thing. It's just 3 runs of anything and you'll get them. But this is especially nice considering as we move forward, the amount of tickets that you actually get from your dailies get expanded from 3 to 5. So you're going to get a ton of free materials, plus just some really nice mana prisms, especially for your newer players that are trying to get caught up on that. So I recommend, no matter what you do, at least making sure at some point within a 24-hour period, do 3 runs. But if you want to make the rest of your AP into blue apples, go for it. Generally, I tell people, if there's an event going on, do the event. Don't make blue apples. If there is a half cost or some sort of more lucrative farming opportunity available, do that instead. But if there is no half cost, if there is no event, if there's no lucrative farming opportunity, I highly recommend making blue apples. And the reason why is because you can bank them basically for an opportunity that may come along in the future. Again, the possibility of farming more embers or being able to grind out more ascension materials is really, really nice. And especially the best use of them in that regard is going to be saving them for a lotto. So you can infinitely save these things. So it's just a way of sort of taking your AP from one part where there's maybe not too much going on and moving it towards another part of the game where there's a ton going on. So I highly recommend looking at blue apples as an opportunity in that regard, rather than just a lazy way of saying, I don't want to have to play today, because that will actually stretch your AP a lot further and make you far more efficient at this game. Again, that's basically what you guys can expect out of those things. But as we start looking, this is also where our tutorial summon is going to get updated. I'm happy for this as somebody that has a new player guide that I have to keep updated, because this allows me to trim the fat, so to speak. So I'm going to be able to consolidate the tutorial summon to just one set of recommendations between NA and JP. Whereas right now I have to have 2 separate ones because we have 2 different lists. Again, the big highlights here are pretty much going to be a unit like Nitocris or Cersei coming along, as both of them can be really nice, and still even units like Zenobia also appearing here. But there's definitely some good options here, especially, you know, classic units like Kirk. Just make sure that you have an idea if you're looking to start the game or getting one of your friends in. Your number of followers is also going to increase, but again, down the line, we don't really care too much. In fact, I believe we may have already gotten this. I don't remember if we've already gotten some of these, but essentially, it's not too big of a deal. These are really easy and nice quality of life. If we already got them, my apologies, but it's nothing too crazy. I do know for a fact we already got all the full screen NPs on NA, so you guys don't have to worry about that. But that is basically your 25 million downloads campaign in a nutshell, and you're also going to have 2 summoning campaigns with Castoria and Balbon and Barcast and Percival, and some of the nice anniversary CEs, as well as basically the return of Jalter, and really just a lot of rare units here, as you've got Miss Crane, Shootin', Yang, Jack Demolay, and even Cleo here, and each one of them is going to end up having a couple of days of rate up. So really, really nice in that regard. Or actually, it may just be 1 depending on the timing there. Yeah, I think it is. But still, either way, a lot to look forward to in the 25 million downloads campaign. Just remember, if you've got roll goals, there's still a ton of good units upcoming this year. So you may be trying to save for summer or maybe anniversary. It's totally up to you to determine what you want to roll on. But still, If you're someone that's new to the game, I highly recommend Castoria. She is just still to this date, even on JP, one of the best units in the game and one of the best units to have. But now let's go ahead and start the actual Learning with Manga collab. So again, this event is going to require only Fuyuki. That's not too bad. The CQ will actually end up requiring Solomon to clear, but it is another 3-week event. In fact, from here on out, pretty much all of your events are going to be 3-week events. The rare exceptions being lottos. Obviously, the devs don't want to give you too long to farm a lotto, so that's kind of why they went with what they went with. But that's pretty much to be expected. And the Bunyan event is an interesting one. It was somewhat contentious on JP. There were at least some people that didn't like the implementation of Bunyan or didn't care much for the event because there was a ton of stall with regards to it. But I think at the end of the day, it's still a good event, and don't let how JP felt about things like sort of warp your perception of it. Go into it with an open mind, see if you like it. You may actually really enjoy it. So again, you can see there is a sort of day-to-day release schedule basically going on. So you are going to have a point ladder as well that you're going to need to be able to complete in order to unlock stuff. So it's both a factor of that point ladder and time. You are going to get new units here, including Super Bunyan. I'm going to be going over Super Bunyan and Daiko Kuten here both in videos. And again, basically all the new servants have a 2 times super and great success chance when leveling, which is really, really nice for this event. But Super Bunyan is a single target buster based alter ego, actually pretty darn strong in the grand scheme of things. But again, some people feel mixed feelings, if you will, about the actual like implementation of the character. And then Daiko Kuten, a lot of people, I think, look at the rats and think that they're actually not that good. But the rats are actually a quick AoE caster, and they are Black Grail loopers, and they heal the party. So they're pretty cracked. In that regard, I do think that they're pretty solid, but again, you don't have to feel the need to roll them. They're not required by any stretch of the imagination. We will actually have a welfare in this event. It is Mary Anning. This is a 1-star AoE Arts Lancer, and she actually loops fairly well. I was actually using her on JP not too long ago in a 90+ node, and it worked. It's kind of hilarious that you can make the 1-star work, but it does work, so... don't look the gift horse in the mouth in that regard. She is going to be available from the FP pool. So kind of like Nobukatsu from before, you're going to have to actually roll her to get her. But this is going to be somewhat incentivized, as just like with the Gouda 5 event, you're basically going to see that there's going to be sort of CEs getting added to the pool and stuff like that to make it more incentivized to do so. So this is a good time to make CE bombs, or again, like we said, maybe wait until the download campaign where you'll actually get a 2 times success rate. But either way, it is a decent opportunity. There is the event map here and everything. There's going to be a new My Room background and with Foe and everything. So it is a very interesting event in that regard, because it's called the Mississippi Mythicizers, but it's kind of like a documentary style of event, and you'll see as it kind of centers on America and going through it. So again, you can see you raise funds at the Mississippi River to become the owner of the treasure ship, the ship of the 7 lucky gods. You're going to clear free quests to get excavation tools, the voracious pickaxe, the thumping hammer, and the crumbly shovel. And you're going to use those excavation tools basically to go ahead and alongside the bunny points, to get bunny points, and then basically be able to excavate certain parts. If you've ever played, I think it was Pokemon Diamond that had the like underground mining and everything like that. So I think it was Diamond and Pearl basically. And so it's the same concept in this, where you're going to like use these excavation tools. You're going to start mining around almost like in a minesweeper like fashion, trying to look for things hidden underneath. And as you get them, as you clear the board, you're going to get more rewards. And these rewards are going to be ascension mats and various other things. So you can see you can basically excavate 1 tile at a time, or use random excavation to automatically excavate multiple tiles at once. I actually don't recommend the random excavation because it's not smart, and you should definitely do it yourself for the maximum benefit and efficiency. But if you're really just wanting to be lazy, you can go ahead and do it. Just again, doing it manually will yield better rewards, so I highly recommend it. And you can obtain basically the bunny pay point. Think of it like bun coin, Bitcoin, if you will, because that is 100% what they're implying with it. the event kind of came out at a time where like stuff like that was really popping off. And so I think that's really what they were just mocking and making fun of. Because again, this entire event was done by Ryu, the one that does all the Learning with Manga artwork and stuff that people know and love, including the April Fool's artworks and sprites. But basically, you're going to get those points as you clear. And after 10 excavations, you can choose to reset the board. There is some like idea to resetting the board. You can go for full clears or you can go for a reset. Basically, the thing you need to understand is that like you're going to be looking for some of the big ticket items, and if you've gotten all the big ticket items on that board, it's kind of okay to reset. Obviously, there's more you maybe want to get, and so at that point, it's going to be a person-to-person basis as to whether or not you're going to want to reset the board. But ultimately, at the end of the day, it's just about getting the most bang for your buck. So it's up to you to determine what resources you really want out of it. Now, you can see basically you reach a certain amount of bunny pay points to get items. Exchange the event currencies for antique reels, cigar sticks, and Raifuku rice balls. And I'm not sure how that one works in, but especially in an American event, but it is what it is. And then there are going to be event CEs, particularly cranking. Cranking is one of the best welfare CEs to come to the game to date from this event right here. So I highly recommend making sure you get your copy of cranking. You could potentially try to farm for more. This event has never rerun, but I don't really necessarily recommend it. If you're lucky enough to get drops over the 3-week span, it is what it is, but I won't necessarily recommend trying to farm for a second MLB or something like that. And basically, Adventures in the Children Kingdom will increase the gold drops, Jurassic Dream will increase the cigar drops, and Pleasure Hunt will increase the rice ball. You can see, again, this is talking about Mary Anning and her being in the friend point summon. She will actually be on rate up, so that's a benefit because normally things are not on rate up in the FP summon. So this is where it actually works out really well for those of you guys that want more servant coins for stuff like grail casting. If you're trying to beef up your supply, this is actually a great time to roll because you're going to get 15 servant coins instead of the usual 2 that you would get for a 1-star. So not only is she on rate up and appearing more often, but she is also going to just give you more coins. So it's a really, really easy way to stockpile. Basically, your FP will go further if you roll it out here as opposed to different other times. Now, again, there's a new main quest unlocked every day, but you got to have the points in order to get to it. And if you max out the ownership gauge to decide who will become the owner of the treasure ship, that's a thing. Again, there was at least like some competition here on JP in order to get one or the other to get it. It really just felt kind of rigged to me, but it is what it is. Feel free to go ahead and fight over it. After clearing a free quest, Super Bunyan will randomly give you items such as QP or friend points as well. So it is a random proc. It's kind of difficult to see here, but you can see that there's basically a little Bunyan in there in the middle of all of that. So then we got the event bonus units, and obviously all of your new units are going to have damage bonus and bond bonus up here at the top with Bunyan, Daiko Kuten, and Mary Anning. And then you're going to have a ton of other units, including the old Bunyan, basically giving you a 50% damage bonus with 20% bond bonus, and then a ton more units giving you 30% damage bonus. So again, you don't have to use any of these units. There's no like drop efficiency that you're going to be missing out on like the Sea Monster Crisis had. So in that regard, this is going to be a much more chill event for that sort of thing. And instead, it's just going to be about if you want an easy clear or you want some easy bonding to happen, feel free to go ahead and use them. But either way, it's not a requirement in terms of your actual efficiency in the event. And then basically we've got our event CEs. Like I already said, cranking is just one of the best ones to come out basically ever. This one's going to be sort of a gold standard for CEs in terms of welfare. As you can see, it is all attack scaling. It does end up at MLB, basically giving you Buster performance by 8%, in P damage by 15%, and still starting charge of 50. So this is really good. It is the premier sort of 50% charge Buster CE in the game at the moment. And basically you're going to be hard pressed to find anything better than that. And that one is going to basically be giving you drops to all your excavation tools. You're going to also have the event command codes. Destructive Star here, it gives you, it's your 5-star. It's going to be when attacking with the engraved card, increases your NP damage by 10% for 1 turn. And then increases the engraved card's damage against sky attribute enemies by 10% as well. So not only is this going to just basically increase in NP if you put it after this card, but it's also going to end up dealing more damage to sky traded enemies, which is really nice. Again, you can see it's Altera for a reason, and that's 100% why they went with it. Your 4-star here is going to be Cheerful Companions. When attacking with the engraved card, removes the latest critical buff from the target, as well as increasing the engraved card's critical damage by 10%. This is sort of a nice, like, I take away the crit from you and I crit harder as a result type of thing. So it's basically getting to have your cake and eat it too, if you will. But it can definitely be really nice to have this sort of thing against enemies that are spamming a ton of crit buffs. And then Giant Blue Ox is low-key pretty nice, as even though it's only a 3-star one, it actually ignores defense whenever you're going to end up putting it on something. So really can be nice in some circumstances where maybe, like, let's say you're taking a unit whose NP ignores defense and you're going up against a high defense stacking challenge quest, but maybe your cards don't. Well, this would at least allow one of the cards to do so. So in that regard, it might end up swinging things in your favor. And then we're going to end up having the summoning campaign here as well. Basically, this is going to be Super Bunyan with Daikokuten. You can see you do have some decent CEs here, including Adventures in the Children Kingdom. This one is all attack scaling. It's going to end up having basically Invuln Pierce here, and then critical damage by 20% and NP Gen by 20%. It's a really, really nice CE for challenge content, as it's giving you that Invincibility Pierce to be able to go through any sort of invincible or dodge that an enemy has. And it's also giving you that crit damage and that NP damage so that you just kind of keep going. It's not sort of something like, say, Starting Charge, where you use it once and it's gone. This is just going to kind of keep working for you throughout the course of the fight. So it is a pretty nice card performance type of craft essence there in that regard. And that one is going to be your gold CE as well. You got Jurassic Dream here that is going to end up being your 4-star. And this one is basically also all attack scaling. It's got NP damage of 10%, Buster performance of 5%, which is not bad right here. And then the overcharge by 1 stage for 1 time. Again, this is not the best in terms of combinations of effects, but it's not awful. It's at least saying, like, hey, if you had to start from nothing, we can give you some pretty decent rewards. The problem is literally cranking is better than it in terms of just providing more firepower. So it would have to be that the overcharge effect actually really worked out for you. But again, it's up to you to determine whether or not something like this could be useful for you. Maybe it's just a party cost issue, because again, this is a 4-star C as opposed to a 5-star. And that's going to be your silver stuff there with the cigars. And then Pleasure Hunt, as you guys can see, this is going to be your bronze C. This one basically is split stats, unfortunately, but again, it's a 3-star, so we're probably weren't going to level it anyways. And it's got arts up and NP Gen, and then critical stars every single turn. So honestly, not too bad either. It's also fairly synergistic in that regard. But even for a 3-star C, it can actually do pretty good work for you. Now, there is also the FP sort of campaign that you're going to have. And like we talked about, Mary Anning will be on rate up during this. But you're also going to have 4-star and 3-star craft essences that are sort of fodder CEs. These CEs just give more experience when you combine them with other CEs. So it's great for building craft essence bombs. It's great for making stuff that's, again, just going to lead you to leveling up your CEs. So I do think this is a great opportunity for you guys to roll out your FP, particularly, like I said, if we get that download campaign in the last week, you're going to have a lot of synergy there with the 2-time success chance and just really good rewards for your FP. So it'd be a great time to just go ahead and spend down any FP that you have. But keep in mind, you will be getting a 3-time success rate later on at anniversary. So it's up to you to determine where you want to use it. Talking about the shop here, you guys could see we do have the sort of excavation tools here, and basically just at the end of the event, if you have leftover, you can try to convert them. It's not too bad, but it is what it is.
And then we've got the antique reels here. This is going to be your 5-star sort of stuff. You've got 2 copies of Cranking right here, so that's already 2 under your belt. You've got some coins for Mary Anning and Bunyan, ironically enough. You may be tempted not to buy the Bunyan coins if you already had them. That's totally up to you. But just keep in mind the fact that these are functionally free. And so if you just have leftover currency at the end, I highly recommend grabbing them because, again, they can just be contributed towards something like grail casting. So definitely get Mary Anning's coins if you want. But again, depending on how much you roll out in the FP pool, you might not need it either. And then basically you're going to end up getting a crystallized lore. You're going to end up getting 10 of the spirit roots, as well as 10 of the dragon reverse scales, and then 20 of the LB3 bells, as well as your sort of gold statues here in order to help you get prepared maybe for something like class score down the line, or to shore up any shortage that you may have. And then your gold, one set of each your HP and attack gold foes here, as well as a quick command code key. And then definitely do not touch the command code remover. These are functionally defunct. You get some of them for free, so even if you're worried about like, oh well, I don't really have any, don't worry, there's campaigns to just give them to you. So I highly recommend skipping them. Do not buy them. They're really not worth. And then cigar stick here is going to be your silver, as we already talked about. This is going to get you yet another. So this is now up to 3 copies of Cranking. Basically more coins for both Bunyan and Mary Anning. 10 of the 5.5 demon hearts there, and then basically 20 of the meteor horseshoes, 30 of your dust there, then each of your statues, as well as another copy of your gold foes, a arts command code key, and then another remover that is basically useless. For your bronze here, you're going to end up getting 1 more copy of the Bunyan CE, bringing you up to a total of 4, and then basically end up getting, more coins for Mary Anning, getting 20 of the Divine Spherical Veins, and getting 20 Seeds and 30 Fangs. 1 more copy each of the gold foes, your normal foes at a stack of 20 apiece, your 5-star embers there, your 4-star embers, and your 3-star embers here as well. And then capping it all off here, the Buster command code key, and again, a command code remover. So that's your shop right there. As we already explained, there is a point ladder, so you're going to be getting some stuff from this. You can see that is where your 5th copy of Cranking will be, so you will not have to farm in order to get MLB of Cranking, thank God. But that's why I said, if you're tempted, there will potentially be opportunities to get more drops, and it is possible, I guess, in theory, to get a second MLB. I just don't necessarily recommend spending your apples on trying to get it. Again, there's some really nice stuff, including 2 more crystallized lures right here. And basically, the point ladder only goes up to 300,000. Now, that might not sound like that's a lot, but again, consider the fact that most of the rewards there you're going to have pretty much in the first 200,000 points. And the last entire 100,000 there is basically just a gold foe and the final crystallized lore. But still, keep in mind that even though the point values seem lower, it's always that they skew these things so that you gain less points. You know, it's not 3 million in terms of the requirements, but they just basically make you gain less throughout the event, so that 300, even though it seems like it's less, is still difficult to get to. So it will still take you a while, but ultimately at the end of the day, it's not too bad. And then we've got the main quest here as well. I'm not going to try to spoil it, basically, but just to kind of show you here real quick. Again, you can see there are some nice rewards, particularly the Grail at the end of it. So this is going to be another easy way to get another Grail out of it all. Your free quests here basically are going to bounce all around for the early parts. And again, I'm going to just try to find the 90 plus for you guys real fast, as that's going to be the one that actually really matters. So again, you can see, I believe this may be the 90 because it's got up for everything, but hold on here real fast. Yeah, here's your 90 plus. So it's going to be basically a 2-1-1 node of all assassins. So having some really nice casters will definitely be to your benefit. You might also be able to get away with something like, say, Tai Sui, who's a welfare that you guys should have just gotten from the Sea Monster Crisis event. But keep in mind, you do have some pretty decent health values there, at least going all the way up to 200k. So you might want to take advantage of basically bonus units in order to help you out. But this is going to get you drops of all the excavation things, all of the shop currencies. So it's going to be really, really nice. And remember, you're going to get the majority of your points from doing excavating, not necessarily from running the nodes. So really, you're farming for the excavation materials to then turn into points. Now, that's not the only thing that you're going to get from that, though. And basically, at the end of the day, let's quickly touch on the challenge quest here. Again, you can see you're going to end up having quite a bit of rat problems. But it is going to end up getting you another crystallized lore. And then basically, you've got the excavation type stuff. So you can see here, it says using the excavation tools will get you the bunny pay points. You can excavate manually one tile at a time or use random excavation to automatically excavate multiple tiles at once. Like I already said, don't do the random. It's not efficient. I don't recommend it. And basically you attain the points for each tile you excavate. After 10 excavations, you can reset the board. So again, a refresher on the rules there, but you can see basically if a node is a certain thing, you can see exactly what it will give. You have to use certain materials in order to clear certain things. And basically, you're going to get pretty decent rewards. There are some rare items. Basically, these items will appear after the 4 surrounding tiles have been dug out. So again, there is some strategy to it and to how you want to approach it. Just try to be as efficient as possible. And again, there is some nice rewards here, so I do recommend it. Getting stuff like spirit roots or maybe even meteor shards there is really awesome. There are also, again, shells for summer coming up here. So there is some decent stuff. This is a basic infinite farm loop. So what I'm trying to say here is your mileage may vary. However much you want to farm the event is however much of these materials you're going to get back. They are somewhat random, so you're just going to have to take that as it is, but you can continue to farm to get more of these, and the AP efficiency, as far as I'm concerned, is not terrible. It's just going to boil down to, do you actually need these particular resources, and what are you trying to do to get them? So at the end of the day, if you really want to grind this, go for it. Just keep in mind there will be another lotto at the end of the year in November probably, but otherwise in the meantime there's not going to be too many other opportunities, and there will be other events potentially like this, including I believe this year's Guda Guda event is also a somewhat infinitely farmable event. So up to you to determine if you want to do that. The closest equivalent that I can say that NA has already had is this is close to like Summer 6. I'm not sure how good it is in relation to something like Summer 6, but I can say it is an opportunity if you want to go ahead and spend the AP. It just may not be the best use of your AP, and that's a decision that only you can make. Now, again, we do also have the pre-release campaign. I believe this is currently going on right now on NA, so I'm not going to waste too much time covering that. But basically, the Bunyan event is an infinitely farmable event. And that's where I said, again, your considerations for something like the 25 million downloads campaign with the fact that they're going to have all the Ember Gathering and Hunting Grounds available in the last week is you may not want to farm the hunting grounds too much. Or sorry, not the hunting grounds. You may not want to farm the Ember Gathering too much just because you have the Bunyan event right there where you may be able to be grinding out more of those lucrative Ascension mats. So it's really going to come down to you as the player to determine which one you need more. And again, I will say that regardless of which one you choose, this will be a good opportunity to roll out your FP and to make the most of that, given the fact that you should be getting a 2-time super and great success chance. You should have quite a bit of good rate up fodder CEs, and you will be getting a ton of coins with Mary Anning. So I hope you guys enjoyed. Again, stay tuned for the videos on Daiko Kuten and Super Bunyan, as I will be covering them this week as well, and I will see you guys for those ones. Have a good one.